When coach Lee Sterry arrived today, he was about to terminate his 2-year deal with the club. Within minutes, he said he wasn't going anywhere.
I'm the head coach of the club and I haven't been informed otherwise, so I'll continue on with the contract that I've got with the club.
Sterry says he wasn't paid last week and also alleged club owner David Hall had approached 2 lower grade coaches to take his position. But when he fronted CEO Maurice McAllister,
He denied he knew anything about it.
Meanwhile, the Northern New South Wales Soccer Federation said it would give Sterry the job of heading up its proposed safety net side.
If there's only one National League team in Newcastle, I expect that Lee will be coaching.
Sterry joined players in a meeting with the local federation a short time ago, with Northern New South Wales Soccer saying it has the go-ahead to organise a team so long as players agree, and that should be decided tonight.
I believe the players will support what we're offering.
It's understood the Federation deal would include the shifting of the team from Birmingham Gardens to Marathon Stadium. But incredibly, this afternoon Breakers owner David Hall offered to assist the rescue mission by offering the use of the Breakers name and stadium at a figure to be negotiated and rights to all income derived from ticket sales, corporate boxes, sponsorship and signage.
Take the option which is the best financially.
That's still expected to be Marathon Stadium.
This week, Bullaroo became the latest hunter community to pitch in for crime prevention. 34 businesses funding around-the-clock security patrols, a concept welcomed by police.
We fully support what they've done, the community's done here with Chubb, and we see Chubb as being another area where we can get information and intelligence from them and cooperate with them to deter crime within the Bullaroo area.
And it seems they could be welcoming a whole lot more. Business owners from Hexham, Sandgate and Swansea have already enlisted their own patrols, and security firms say there are more customers on the books. But the State Minister responsible for regional development denies the service is a private police force, compensating for any lack of officers on the beat. In fact, he insists the community has to play a part.
It is a community problem. There's nothing new about it. It's as old as the hills, it's worldwide, and people do have to, communities have a responsibility to work with the police and get the best out of the police with the resources that the community can afford.
Of course, the community is already paying for our state's police service, but that doesn't seem to matter.
People have just got to come to terms with it. Every person hates paying tax, and we can put another 5,000 police in tomorrow, but the taxpayer is going to pay for it. If you put it to them that way, they'll say they don't want any part of it. Now, what I repeat, you cannot, in this modern day and age, have police standing around in police stations, sitting around in patrol cars on what may occur.
General Manager of Soccer Australia Stefan Kamaz and CEO David Woolley arrived late this afternoon to meet with the local federation and evaluate its proposed safety net side. Newcastle Lord Mayor John Tate also on hand to strengthen the federation's case.
The first and foremost thing for us is to ensure that there is in fact a financially viable platform base for the player.
The Federation entered the meeting buoyed by the news last night that the former Breakers players agreed in principle to play.
The only confidence I have at the moment is the way the players reacted. The negotiations, I feel, with Soccer Australia will be done very quickly.
The players have given them 48 hours to work it out before they look for other clubs. Soccer Australia think they could have an answer by tomorrow.
We would like to think that we could repay the players' loyalty.
The side, if granted permission to play, would see the same players and coaching staff from the Breakers contracted to play out of Marathon Stadium in the red and blue colours. While the Federation and players like it, some supporters don't. Steve Bradbury and Dave Morley are season ticket holders at Breakers Stadium and don't want to move.
I think that any attempt to put another team in the competition should be treated by the Newcastle community in the same way that the Mariners were treated. There is one team in this town and it's the Breakers.
I might go and watch some games, but I don't think I can put my heart behind it.
They're now planning a Breakers wake.
It was a final workout for Kahi Peru under the watchful eyes of trainer Max Bristow ahead of the final hit-out before the Paralympics. The champion powerlifter will compete in the Queensland International competition on Saturday, where he might just break his national record of 217.5 kilograms.
I intend to increase that slightly, maybe 220, maybe even 222.5, but it all depends on the day.
From there, Kahi will train with his Australian teammates before officially going into camp on the 14th of October. He's just starting to get the better of a niggling shoulder injury and can't wait for the games.
I'm just warming up now for the most big event of my life, come the games, I'll be putting my best foot forward.
Also getting ready for action last night, Hunter and Central Coast members of the Australian volleyball team. Joe Egan, Adam Lusted, Dan Byrne, Nigel Smith and Captain Grant Prest will be joined by 7 teammates next month in a quest to win a Paralympic medal and break the stranglehold of teams like Poland and Germany.
They've been playing for, say, 15, 20 years. They're a more mature team, so they're very smooth, very smooth.
Lusted is one of the team's youngest members and already knows what he's looking forward to the most.
Just the opening ceremony, walking in with all those people cheering on, that should be pretty good.
Colin Baldwin, NBN News.
Being a new parent is never easy, but now help is on hand. Today was the first monthly postnatal meeting of the Birrali Aboriginal Birthing Service, a program which teaches Aboriginal families skills about parenting.
There have been quite a few young girls who, for example, have been the first to breastfeed in their family for a few generations and have done very well at that. And they say to us that it's that bit of support from outside the family that's helped them do that.
So far, 60 new parents have been involved in the initiative. Organisers are so encouraged by this interest, they're looking to expand the program.
With this interest that's been shown, the women are really interested in the service that we're providing. That will grow then an antenatal component to that, so that women will have care earlier in their pregnancy.
David Dargan and Teresa Towers first got involved in the program 6 months ago, after their son David was born 2 months premature.
We're a young family, young couple, and just want to learn, had nothing much to learn about. And with Linda around and that help us a bit, get to know a bit.
Tanya Carlisle, NBN News.
The Commodore was rolled, police think several times, crushing the roof, killing its driver. They say the car was being driven west along the Pacific Highway towards Hexham when the 36-year-old man lost control and then swerved in front of a Kingswood being driven by a 70-year-old. The two cars ended in a ditch by the side of the road, with the Commodore rolling in front of the other Holden. The Commodore was being driven without registration plates, and police believe recklessness was at the heart of the accident.
We associate that with speed, and most probably the manner of driving is another factor in it.
Neither the driver in the Kingswood or the passenger in the Commodore were seriously injured. And with the long weekend traffic expected to be heavy, especially coming back from the Olympic closing ceremony on Sunday night, police warn double demerit points are in full force until Monday midnight.
Obviously we warn everybody in the public to be aware that obviously police are on the roads, but speed is a big factor in it. If you can slow down, get there, revive and survive.
I am so sorry.
Hogan says he's having a ball, working with his wife Linda and playing pranks. Despite a string of recent box office failures, he feels no pressure.
Downstairs. Just when we get to the overs, it's going to be... No, that's right. How's that?
The race was delayed for 2 hours after heavy fog blanketed the Clarence, keeping everyone on shore. By mid-morning it had lifted, unveiling perfect conditions, a massive crowd and 155 crews ready to head out to Susan Island. The Sting first out as the fastest qualifier. At 1 minute intervals, the rest followed, with Showdown chasing an historic hat-trick fourth out. Racing on a glass-like surface, the Stinger roared home from the 114-kilometre round trip first. But incredibly, Showdown was next home in a record time of 38.03 minutes, slashing its own race record and winning by about 10 seconds.
It feels better this time because, as Ian will tell you, our driver, this is the hottest field that we've had to beat.
Exhausted skiers felt every bit of the trip, but loved the finish.
Yeah, as good as it gets.
Back on dry land, but with the same fast ideas, drivers in the opening round of the Newcastle Speedway season. The layoff may have affected some, but fender benders actually mean to do this. Nothing got in the way of Lismore's Brian Hackney, who took out the Street Stock Cars event, but may have needed a trailer to help take home the trophy. The AM cars hit the track as well, with Maitland's Graham Lilford and Wollongong's John Cartwright duelling for most of the night. Cartwright got the money after Lilford was forced out with mechanical problems. Hardly a classic finals day for the Steel City Malibus. Matt Kay had won his semi to reach the final of the 8-foot class, and after wrapping up second place, he bailed out early to prepare for the blue ribbon decider. Chris Jubb winning the 8-foot final in the end with Roger Clements in third. Right on cue in the feature 9-foot final though, the wind shifted offshore and right up the surfer's alley. Rides came thick and fast, with Sydney's Christian Pym picking off high scorers at will. He led for most of the decider. But hometown boy Josh Ferris left his best till last. A world-ranked rider, he strolled into the lead after a classic longboard manoeuvre. Matt Kay followed the same path. But Ferris wrapped up his third title and a trip from Bali just ahead of Pym.
In a black beanie and jacket, this man looked suspicious at 5 in the morning. His folded arms hid a baton like this one, and he used it without hesitation. The 23-year-old shop assistant threw the cash tray to defend himself. Money went everywhere, but the thief continued his violence.
He demanded the money and then at the same time struck the male attendant across the face with the baton.
Newcastle police say the employee suffered serious head and arm wounds, but still managed to take the baton from his attacker. He chased the thief from the store, leaving a trail of his own blood as he pursued the robber up Perkins Street in the heart of Newcastle. Police later closed the 7-Eleven store while they gathered evidence.
Oh, it's a disgrace that a person could be carrying a lawful occupation and from there to be subject to that abuse and treatment. It was totally unnecessary and a totally cowardly attack.
It was hard to see the pools for the people at Lambton today as thousands crammed into the swim centre for a ride on its newest attraction. There was a long wait before climbing the stairs, armed with a rubber raft, up to a height of 10 metres before being pushed down into a tube 100 metres long.
It's a pretty fast slide and it's the thrill of going down and the excitement that goes with the slide. It's great, the kids really enjoy it. You should hear the screams coming out of the slide over there at the moment.
2 years have passed between concept and reality, initiated by staff at the centre looking to create some excitement, and they seem to have succeeded.
Pretty good.
Yeah, great idea. Yeah, should have had one around here years ago.
Heaps cool.
Some found the height factor a little daunting.
When you walk up, but I just pray.
The turnstiles stood idle as crowds pushed through for free, but only for today as a special grand opening enticement. The swim centre will host the Masters Games in a year's time, and organisers are confident it will hold up as a suitable venue.
Oh, yeah, they mightn't be as interested in the slide as our patrons today, but we're looking forward to that. We've got a good facility here and we think we can accommodate those people and put on a great carnival.
Catherine Turner, NBN News.
Like hundreds of police from throughout the state, Senior Constable Tony Tamplin was back at his own station today after serving in Sydney. He says police were relieved there was no major incidents during the past 2 weeks. He says the feeling among the massive crowds was like a grand final win.
And it really reminded me of the night that the Knights won the grand final up here in Newcastle, and everyone was out the front of the Workers Club and there were crowds and they were packed in like sardines, but the crowd was in such a good mood they didn't care. And I thought we just had 2 weeks of the Knights winning the grand final down in Sydney, and it was really a fantastic mood of the crowd.
He says taking police away from their normal patrols for the Games was the right choice.
Yeah, statewide there was a big commitment to the Olympics. We believe that commitment was certainly necessary. Given how smooth the Olympics went, they've been justified.
Meantime, Newcastle Police Chief Sam Finlay will retire from the top job on Friday after 33 years of service. Paul Lobb, NBN News.
The alleged murder attempt took place in this Skatara house last month, the residence of 25-year-old Kristen Griffin. The ex-girlfriend of Merriweather man Bryn Roberts told police the father of her 4-year-old son woke her up just after midnight on the 31st of August and said he had something to show her in the laundry. According to police, Roberts asked her to hold his hand, then put his hand on the power plug of the washing machine and turned the power on. This sent a shock through both of them, with exposed wires responsible for the reaction. Mr Roberts received minor injuries. During a bail application today, Roberts' solicitor said the prosecution's brief did not come anywhere near the charge of attempted murder and said despite fearing for her safety, Ms Griffin was still in regular contact with Mr Roberts. She was quoted as saying, "I don't think jail is very good for him," and in a letter to him said, "I guess I'm confused about what you were trying to do that night. Everyone thinks you were trying to kill me. I'm not sure what I think anymore." Magistrate Michael Morahan described it as a very strange case and recommended the Crown hold an urgent conference with the victim before he formally refused bail. The case comes before court again later this month. Brooke Webster, NBN News.
But it seems most serious anglers won't be taking the risk, happy to pay the fee to see their sport better regulated.
For one, there's too many small fish going and there isn't anyone to police the size of them. And there's just far too much of it going on.
As long as the money goes to the right place, that should be a good thing.
Professional fishermen in enclosed waters like Lake Macquarie have known since January that their days were numbered. Now news of another inquiry has left the lake's 30 commercial licence holders cynical.
Yeah, we think it's only a little bit of a reprieve. Yeah, it's trying to put a gloss of democracy on the whole process.
If the waterway is closed for commercial operations, fishermen hope the government's promise of compensation will be honoured.
All we ask for is fairness, and we're not being treated fairly, I don't think.
But for recreational anglers, stopping inshore netting can't come soon enough.
Once they stop all the netting in the lakes, the lake's going to come back to life, and it's just going to increase the tourism and everything.
Paul Lobb, NBN News.
After all the hard work, today was a chance to recognise the achievements of these up-and-coming businesswomen. 23 women were matched up to experienced business people as part of the Hunter Women in Business Mentor Program.
The aim of the program is to link entrepreneurial women with experienced business owners to grow their business, to grow in business confidence, to grow in developing their business skills.
Now in its second year, the state government-sponsored program has produced many success stories.
We just had a speaker today who was telling us that she had increased her business by 630% from the same time last year. There's a number of people who've employed people for the first time, so it's fabulous for the region.
Karen Menzies, one of the participants in the program, started up her own business, Newcastle Business Solutions, 18 months ago. Since starting the program, she has been named as a finalist in the BPW Career Woman of the Year Awards and credits the increased interest in her small business centre to what she learned in the course.
We can share our problems and talk about them, and then we're given the guidance and tremendous support and encouragement from our mentors along the way. There's always a helping hand just a phone call away.
While job creation is at the top of everyone's list of priorities, for some the sheer size of the proposed industrial estate outweighs the promised benefits. A local lobby group claims a smaller scale development is a better option, both economically and environmentally.
On 100 or 200 hectares of this site, a special uses zoning be imposed so that if we did get a large industry that wanted to locate there, such as a car engine manufacturing plant, that could bring 200 or 300 jobs, then there would be space for it.
But for community leaders in an area with an unemployment rate of 12% and youth jobless rate as high as 30%, the promise of thousands of new jobs over several decades is a compelling argument.
There is no other way of bringing employment operations into this area other than through industries.
It will create employment within the community for the people that live here. No longer will they have to pursue employment outside the area, have to split families up, leave home to go to the south coast or north coast to work.
The dream of hometown jobs is already proving a persuasive selling point.
It's going to open up the community, a lot of jobs, especially developing it, and as well as jobs when it's completed.
More people, more jobs.
The community now has 40 days to make submissions. Brooke Webster, NBN News.
It's been 5 long years since the Uncle Toby's Iron Man and Woman events have been held in Newcastle. Last year, Josh Blair finished just third after a couple of showdowns with eventual champion Kai Hurst. Now he believes the Hunter home ground advantage will help him get the start to the season he needs.
Obviously the work out in the water is all still going to have to be done, but when you hit the beach and hear that crowd, and when you're hurting on the sand, I think it's going to be a huge advantage.
Sarah Kennedy from the Central Coast can't really call Newcastle Beach her home ground, but she says she'll have another advantage to help lift her beyond her ranking of 5th in the series last year. For once, she's trained hard during the winter.
Yeah, and pretty much just it takes me half the winter to get going, but this year I've sort of started a lot earlier and put a lot more swimming training down.
The season begins at Newcastle Beach on November 19. David McElwain, NBN News.
Today's exhibition game at Williamtown's RAF base was a chance for the Australian standing men's volleyball team to size up one of its main rivals for a Paralympic medal, Germany.
We're a good chance to play off for a silver or bronze. We've got a new team, so hardly any European teams have seen the new guys in our team, so pretty excited about our chances.
The Volleyroos also pitted their skills against a side from One Still and a Navy team. Making up the 12-man side is 3 Hunter players and 5 Central Coast athletes. And while the federal government has promised to foot the $1,000 entry fee for each Paralympian, the team is still searching for a sponsor to come on board to help pay for training camps and trips to international competitions.
Hopefully we can snare one and go overseas a fair bit more and competing over there and against the other nations.
A lot of the money comes out of our own pockets, so yeah, we do it hard.
The standing volleyball competition kicks off the day after the Paralympic opening ceremony. Tanya Carlisle, NBN News.
As far as scenic motorsport venues go, few would have beat Newcastle's King Edward Park today. It's also a fair bet to presume those not taking in the view were drivers in today's Newcastle Challenge round of the Matara Hill Climb. Mick Glover certainly would have struggled, but he wouldn't have cared. On his 4th run of the day in his Tirana, he smashed his own class record for the 2nd time. His new mark at 49.55 seconds. Overall, conditions couldn't have been better. Jeff Limbert's Corolla screaming around the 1.94 kilometre course in 48.86 seconds. 3rd best overall for the day. But not all were setting track records. In fact, some weren't even finishing. The MG class is always one of the most hotly contested at the Newcastle Challenge, and today was no exception. But it'll be tomorrow's state round, that'll be the one to watch. While Penrith's man-made Olympic course may have been the envy of overseas competitors, it doesn't get too much better than the more natural surrounds of the Lake Glenbourne course.
It's an excellent venue here.
And Rob McGuinness should know he's been one of the country's best for more than a decade. But he's being spurred on after missing Sydney 2000 by just 4/100ths of a second.
We didn't miss by much, so I guess that's in the past. It's all... You're only as good as your next race.
Matt Pallister knows all about the Olympics. He competed at Barcelona and Atlanta and lines up in tomorrow's K1 event against the Sydney Games representative John Wilkie.
Oh yeah, we always have good competition. It'll actually be good to let me know where I'm standing with the Nationals coming up in January.
As for today's action, Kynan Maley was far too strong for the rest of the field, winning the Open Men's Canoe class. In the Open Women's, Louise Natalie was also a convincing winner from Lauren Sykes. The Kayaks take centre stage tomorrow.